Everyone, so good to see you here tonight. We've got some people here who are glad to share their experiences with you with the MSBA program. So without further ado, we're just going to jump right into it. Here we go. Thank you so much to our panel for being here tonight. We have Zach Schuster, Shelby Hines, Chris Fabak, and Caitlin Pinkard. Well, we're going to get right to it tonight. And let's start out with Zach right here. Zach, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey everybody, I'm Zach Schuster. I am a graduate of the 2018 MSBA program. I currently work for Cypress.io, so a web development testing company based out of Atlanta. They are fully remote, so I am based out of Florida, but I travel quite a bit.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Zach, right there. And our next guest right here is Shelby Hines. Shelby, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Shelby Hines. I work for Napa Auto Parts. The headquarters, or where I work, is based out of Atlanta. And I am a 2016 graduate of the MSBA program.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Shelby. And going over to Chris Fabak right here.
Hi, Chris Fabak. I work at Nissan North America. So I work at technically I'm in the manufacturing plant in Smyrna, Tennessee, although our North Carolina headquarters are just around the corner in Franklin. And I'm a 2019 graduate of the MSB program at UTK.
Thank you so much. And Caitlin Pinkard. Go ahead, Caitlin.
Hey, I'm Caitlin Pinkard. I graduated in 2018 from the MSBA program. I work at Snagajob right now. It's a hourly hiring platform based in Richmond, which is where I live. We're fully remote, but still live in Richmond. And I'm a senior machine learning engineer.
And I want to say a huge thank you to everyone here, because their experiences are something we want the undergraduates to hear, or if you're watching this from another university right now, we want you to reach out. And we've got people in the chat right now that can give you information. I think Jordan, you might be in the chat, and Dr. Bachescu might be in the chat. So if you want to drop any links, or if you have questions, ask them at any time. We've got some pre-written out questions, but we're also going to be taking your questions. Now, with each of these questions, I'm going to kind of switch up the order each time. So we started with Zach, but this time we'll start with Shelby right here. So Shelby, I'll give you the full question right here. Tell us about a time when you had a client or boss who had a hunch that there was a better way to approach a business process, and you were able to really impress with an analytical approach you learned in the MSBA program. What advantages did the MSBA skill set that you learned provide to you when it came time for you to communicate the solution? Shelby, over to you.
Yeah, so I would say that tends to happen more often than not. So I remember, especially when I first started out as a senior data scientist, I was often asked, if there's something that I'm interested in perhaps sharing with my team or others who may be interested, to first let them know and then almost sort of present a business case. And I remember one time there was a project I was assigned where I had to use skill sets that were kind of different, that I hadn't necessarily, I would say, mastered. But I know at least the basis of it was, or the core of it, came from just different skill sets that I learned through the program, more specifically programming. So a lot of the times, at least when I first started out, I was working on different Excel sheets, just trying to figure out the best way to streamline different processes that were currently in place, or manual processes. And so basically taking those processes, automating them, using coding skills to do that, that was definitely something that really helped and kind of changed the trajectory of how certain tasks were handled in the company for different projects. And so I would say that definitely having that skill set and learning those skills in the program really helped me and helped the business to propel forward in a positive way.
Thank you so much, Shelby, right there. And Chris, we'll give it over to you.
Yeah, so I'm glad you asked this question right now. Nissan just had our first sort of internal data and analytics summit for North America a couple weeks ago, and I was asked to present, and I presented about this topic that I'm going to tell you about now. So when I first got to Nissan, I straight out of my master's program, right, and I was like, this is so great, I'm going to use all these things. And when I got hired in supply chain, there was no data scientists. That wasn't even a job title in supply chain. We had no team. It was just me with my bag of tools that I learned at UT. And so I actually got hired on in a strategy group for like inbound transportation. And so I was watching some of my colleagues spend all their time doing these sort of scenario studies. So I'm not going to get into the details of supply chain management, but there are in the network, there are intermediate hubs where you can sort of reconsolidate freight for really efficient savings. But there are questions about like, where should you locate, that facility? And so we get that question like once a year, sort of, should we open one of these in, Huntsville or Birmingham? And I was watching, analysts spend weeks trying to figure out how much it would cost for one, set of routing to sort of go that way instead of this way. So I built, with some help, I will say, from one of my professors at UTK in my program, Dr. Letizia, I built an optimization for our inbound network at a high level. I abstracted stuff. I didn't rewrite the whole, routing software. But it was able to help us answer those high level questions. And it was really impressive because we could run a model in about 6 seconds instead of 2 weeks. So it was a big benefit, and I will say that's a skill that I didn't even know was a thing that data scientists could have in their toolkit, right, until I was at UT, and we took one class was required, and then I took an extra elective class because I was interested in it, and that's a skill set that I think all data scientists know sort of generically how to do machine learning, but optimization is sort of a specialized skill set. So I was really glad that UT offered me the opportunity to learn that.
Awesome. And I really like what you said right there, that you took something that was taking like 2 weeks and brought it down to seconds. That is a valuable skill set. So thank you so much, Chris. And over to Caitlin.
Yeah. So, like I said, I'm a senior machine learning engineer. So I've been working a little bit more on the like math heavy data science side, but I've also been kind of sort of part-time doing front-end web development. And we have a lot of front-end A/B tests. So we assume that moving the apply button to a different place on the job card might increase conversion, like how many times people apply. And a lot of the time the product managers have these assumptions like, hey, this experience should win. Like, for whatever reason, we think this test that we're going to run and these changes that we're going to make, our plan should win. And at first I was like we need data here. We can't just assume that like, let's go implement this thing and it's going to win. We're going to make so much money. So one of my first major projects actually was to build like a data science measurement system. Through confidence intervals and all that, I won't get too into it. It basically told us, was the variant statistically significantly different from the control experience? And even once we had that in place, I ran into some like, well, what if we adjust the confidence down to just 80%? Like, we're not getting it at 95, what about 80? So I've had to combat that a little bit, but I think having the statistics background from my undergrad at UT and the statistics and math sort of basis of the MSBA program has helped a lot. And I don't know, I think we make a lot better decisions now, and they're more data backed, which I love. So.
That is awesome. And we always talk about data-driven decisions. And I think many of you can see the chat. We have Meath and Nicholas here. And thank you so much. Keep asking those questions, chat. And we'll go over to Zach right here.
Yeah, so I'd say a good example was from, I previously worked at Eastman Chemical Company, which is, I think, a fairly strong partner of the program. And so when I was there, I had worked with a client or stakeholder there that was interested in, refining or improving the procurement process they use for capital projects that they have. And so a lot of this was manual, trying to decide when to purchase different raw materials and when to wait, and hopefully that the prices would go down. And because of that manual process, there was valuable valuable expenditures being had just on labor hours for that. And so one of the methods that we ended up going with was a series of ARIMA models, which I did learn some time series modeling within the program. So shout out to UTK. But yeah, so I was able to put a series of ARIMA models together there that use data from the St. Louis Fed and then also Oxford Economics, and use those as external regressors in those ARIMA models. And so what that was able to do is, for a given capital project, take an input of different raw materials and then output forecasts of where the prices would be going on those 24 months out in the future. And so that was a dynamic Shiny app. And so people were able to use that and input their own projects, get the forecasts, and decide when to make decisions on purchasing. And
I want to give as many shout outs as I can. Adam Spanbauer, you may know, we have integrated, both he and I have integrated Shiny into 475 time series. So that is really great to hear that you were doing something of that nature. And we are also hoping to deliver these skill sets in the undergraduates too. We'll go back to the main screen right here. So we're going to integrate some questions from the chat right here. We'll start with Shelby again, since we're kind of on the first round of questions right here. But one question Nicholas had was, what was your undergraduate in? Shelby, go ahead.
Yes, for undergraduate, I studied applied mathematics.
Awesome. Chris?
My undergrad is in mathematics, and then I have a couple higher degrees in education as well. I spent 10 years as a high school math teacher before I changed careers.
Oh, cool. And Caitlin?
Yeah, I got my undergrad in statistics and computer science at UT.
Zach?
My undergrad was in finance, so addition and subtraction. So don't be scared if you don't have a heavy technical background coming in. It can be learned.
And I have a degree in psychology. So, and I know quite a few others have had degrees in psychology who've done the program. So it really is, what are you interested in? Is this something you're passionate about? And that's why we're here tonight. And the second question we have relates to kind of the hard and the soft skills, because I think my background in psychology and other people's backgrounds in communication and teaching can lead to a good business analytics person. So what is the breakdown in your role of analytics, where you have your technical background and then you also have kind of the communication? So how technical is your job, and then how much is it communication? And we'll start right here with Chris. Go ahead.
Yeah, so when I started at Nissan, it was, I would say 90% technical and sort of 10% kind of filling people in on what I'm doing for them or what I can do for them. And then, over time, I feel like I've taken more of I am now a data scientist. We now have multiple data scientists. I don't formally have a position of like a mentor over them, but I informally sort of lead a small team of data scientists. So I think over the last 3 years, it's probably become, it's closer to probably 40% sort of education, whether that's training sort of analysts and just how to use Tableau, or how can I get started in Python, and then, or, training some other data scientists that we're sort of trying to home grow, and then probably about 60% technical. But I've let my manager know, even if you put me in a leadership position, a data science leader should still be probably at least 40 to 50% technical. That's what we want. Like, that's what I want to do. That's why I'm in this field. I don't want to do it for 3 years and then go sit on the sidelines.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Chris, right there. And over to Caitlin.
Yeah, it's either 50-50 or 60-40. So the technical maybe 60% and the communication maybe 40%. As I've kind of moved over to the front end team, I'm kind of the data science rep sort of. So I'm making sure that everything we do makes sense from a data science perspective. And we have really amazing product managers now who really get the data science. So that's awesome, but I still need to be able to communicate it to the broader audience. When I've presented to the whole company a few times, and it's just really good to be able to boil it down to why does this matter? And I think the program did really well teaching me that.
Thank you so much, Caitlin. And over to Zach.
Yeah, so just to provide a little bit of context, when I was working at Eastman, I was on a team of 5 to 10 data scientists. And so my work was highly specialized in just the analytics piece. I focused a lot on customer analytics and things around the purchasing cycle. Moving over to Cypress, which is a startup, we have a little over 100 employees, or right around 100. And so I am our only data scientist on a team of 3 with a manager for data operations. And so I would say I'm probably about 40 or 45% actual data science, and then probably another 30 or 35% data engineering. So anything from setting up clusters for our data science infrastructure and stuff like that. And then the rest of it would go to high-level strategic thinking on how data science can best help Cypress.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Zach. And over to Shelby.
Yes, I would say it's about 80-20 for me. So the majority of what I do is heavily involved or is analytics based, and the rest is communication. And actually, when I first started out here at this company, I would say maybe 3 months in was when I had to give like a presentation to my team, as well as some others who had very limited knowledge of data science and analytics as a whole. And so being able to communicate what I was doing, like the project that I was assigned at the time, was definitely a big part, in my opinion, kind of like proving like the reason for having a data scientist on the team. So right now, like I'm literally the only data scientist within the team. But obviously, I guess I proved that, I'm needed, or that we're needed. So I know that back when I did that presentation, a lot of people came up to me afterwards and really expressed interest in analytics as a whole. And, I definitely want to say that after giving that speech or that presentation, it really, again, like changed the trajectory of where things kind of were already sitting within the team. And now it's on the upward swing in terms of bringing in more analytics-based skill sets, and just having that kind of mindset to help the group as a whole make better,
awesome.
data-driven decisions.
Thank you so much. And we had a technical difficulty in the background. A camera went on and off, which changed the Zoom for a second. So sorry, Bogdan, you appeared on camera there. Thank you to and Shelby, thank you so much. As you were saying, when you gave your presentation, a bunch of people clued in on the importance of data analytics. And then they were talking about that to you afterwards?
Yes, that's correct. I had several people come up to me afterwards, and they, wanted to know where I went to school and where did I learn about analytics. And even with the presentation itself, like, oh, well, how was it that you were able to explain this in layman's terms so that all of us could really understand? And I definitely accredited this program to being able to do that. And in addition to that, I also told them that, just to kind of help me with that as a whole, like communication or communicating something that's not familiar to everyone, to the audience, was to take like a Toastmasters course, or not course, but to take Toastmasters, which really helped with, communication skills and things of that nature, and prepping you to be able to speak to a wide audience and, have no issue with it. So
I couldn't agree with you more. A mathematician I watched who teaches at Carnegie Mellon actually mentioned that he went to comedy practice. Like he learned to do comedy, and then people were like, wait, what do you do? And he's like, oh, I teach math at Carnegie Mellon. So he learned some stand-up comedy. So Toastmasters or something to get used to talking in front of people. And thank you so much, Shelby, for your answer right there. And Dr. Buchescu, thank you so much for everything you do for the program. So you get a quick shout out right there, unintended, but we appreciate it. So I'm going to intersplice one of the questions here from the audience. And if you want, raise your hand and I'll call on you. And the question is from Nicholas: how does an MSBA compare to another type of master's degree in the data science field? So go ahead and raise your hand and I'll call on you. First hand I see up. I might take Zach. Oh, there's Zach. I saw you smile for a second.
I'll go with physical hands instead of Zoom hands.
Okay, I'll zoom in on you here, Zach.
Yeah,
here you go.
All right. So yeah, I mean, first off, take everything I say with a grain of salt, right? Because I only went through one analytics program, but I do think that the MSBA program is a really good mix of your actual soft skills and then your technical skills. And so if you're interested in applied analytics, right? So making an impact within a business or within any other organization that's out in, I guess you could call it the real world. I think this is a great program. It allows you to get all of the fundamentals that you need on statistics, probability, and machine learning, and then also the soft skills to make that impact, right? You can make these really cool solutions, but if you can't communicate the benefits of those to stakeholders, then they're not going to take hold and they're not going to really make an impact. So I think this program's a really good mix of both. So compared to other programs, like let's say you went to a top technical school and did a like computer science and machine learning program, if you wanted to go much more technical or I guess work on back office analytics, then I think that would be a great way to go. I guess it all depends on how applied you want to be compared to how theoretical research based you'd like to be.
Thank you so much, Zach. And back to you. Really, this is what we're here to do tonight. So please ask any questions. We'll try to intersplice them as much as we can, because if you have questions about the MSBA program, we want you to ask them here or come to us and ask them. My email is bstevens@utk.edu. And Bogdan, we can also put out your email if you like to, but that's my email. I can point you to the right people. And going on to the next question right here, we have all of you have progressed through your careers at an accelerated rate, taking leadership roles shortly after finishing the MSBA program. In what ways do you believe the MSBA program equipped you to succeed in your leadership role? And this time we're starting with Caitlin.
Yeah, I think honestly, one of the biggest benefits I got out of the program is that soft skills piece that we talked about. Obviously, the technical skills, you need that to, I don't know, to pass interviews and be successful. But I think the secret sauce is just being able to communicate effectively to people, being able to lead, being able to get your point across. And I think that's something that the program really instilled in me, and it gave me the confidence that, hey, I do know what I'm talking about. So just with the experience in the capstone and talking with actual clients, I guess we'll call them, it just gave me the confidence in myself that I know what I'm talking about and I know how to say it. So, yeah.
Thank you so much, Caitlin. Over to Zach.
Yeah, so similar to what I had said, or kind of hitting on the same thread as my previous answer there was, I agree completely with Caitlin. I think the soft skills are very important. If you're looking to progress in a career, right, most leadership and most management is not technical. And so what I mean by that is they either don't have a technical background or they're out of practice, right? They're much more focused on the people side of the house than technical. And it's been a while since they've actually had hands-on keyboard coding and stuff like that. And so, yes, you need to get those skills that are technical to be able to do the work, but being able to articulate your answers and build relationships, which are extremely important, is critical. So, yeah, I would say the soft skills. So the internship too. I'll hit on the internship. That was really helpful.
No, I think the internship is really where you get, it's really your firsthand applied it. I'm watching everybody and I saw some head shakes yes to the internship of yes, the internship. And we'll give Shelby her chance to talk right here. Shelby, go ahead.
Yeah, I would say in terms of being able to be in the position that I'm in, like it obviously didn't happen overnight, and being able to learn, just going off of what the others have said thus far, learning what I've learned from the program definitely helped me to get to where I am. But in addition to that, also like seeking out resources, like while I'm in the current role that I'm in. So just to make sure that I don't lose the skills that I have, but always like just trying to see if there's anything out there that can help me to fine tune some of the things I've learned even more, and just making sure that I'm still up to speed with what like the latest trend is or what the newest information is that's out there, you know, just being proactive in that sense. as well is definitely what'll give you a leg up and help you keep, your skill set, really good to the point where if anything comes up, like you'll always know that you have a resource to return to, or that there's other sources out there that are available to you so that you can do that. So I would definitely say, the soft skills, the technical skills, and then also just keeping up with those skills and not, letting them fall by the wayside.
Thank you so much, Shelby. And over to Chris.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I echo everything Caitlin and Zach and Shelby said, especially about the soft skills. With my background in teaching, I felt like that was a strong area of mine coming into the program. But it was nice to see the program really focus on that. I think now that I'm on the other side, I think Zach said it right. I've only been through one program, so I can't really compare it apples to apples, but I do work with other people that have gone through different programs, and I can see a big difference. So I think UT did a really good job of covering a breadth of technical skills. Like I mentioned, the optimization, right? Machine learning, visualizations, soft skills, time series models. They hit all the big things, right? To some degree, we did some big data stuff. We did Python, we did R, we did VBA. Please don't, I hope. I'm glad we did VBA. I ended up using it a great deal. I hope I never do it again. I don't love it, but I was exposed to it, right? I knew what it was. I could jump into Nissan and start doing stuff for people when I needed. So I think the breadth of the curriculum was something I really appreciated. And then also I'll speak about the capstone project. I have a really great opportunity right now with Nissan. We have a good partnership with UTK, and we actually sponsor a capstone project with them. Each year. We've done about each year for I think the last 3 years. So I actually am currently working with Jordan to lead a group of students through a capstone project that they're completing for us at Nissan. And it's really cool to see them from the beginning. This is the second one that I've led. See them at the beginning when they're all kind of timid and not really sure, and they're really smart, right? And they know what they're doing, but kind of coaching them through, getting them to feel free to explore and give them that freedom to it's okay, and it's okay to make mistakes, and your training it's got you here, and you know what to do. You just need to trust yourself, and then to see them at the end, it's really cool to see. So that's a really unique part of the program to me. The other colleagues that I have that have been through different programs do not have that as part of their program, and so when they get into the real world, they then are trying to do a capstone in their actual job, and it feels a little bit less stable.
I think that's excellent. And thank you so much for helping out with the capstone, giving our students real world experiences. That's something I've been focusing on more with the courses I teach. Zach, I'll have to give you some updates on the courses. Zach was one of my TAs a long time ago. Going back to the main screen. And that's what we're here to talk about today is the tools you're learning in the program, because regularly people have been going out finding jobs that they want in areas they want to work in. And the average salary, I believe, is around $88,000 right now. People are going into the six figures with their salaries. I think the max is around $125,000, but don't do it because of the money. I can't state that enough, because we do data analytics because we enjoy it. We like it. So we had a question from the audience. Can you share, and I'll kind of rephrase this, because I want to spin this in a way that makes me excited about data analytics. So thank you so much for the question. Can you share any of the skills or techniques you learned during the MSBA program that you regularly use? I want to hear about something that is your favorite skill or technique you learned. So go ahead, raise your hand, and this will be a one-off question for the person who says, I'll answer it.
I'll raise my hand. Is there a little...
Caitlin, we'll go over to Caitlin here.
Did I find it? Here. There, I raised my hand.
Oh, wait. And Kate, someone moved cameras, I think. I don't know why that moved. Oh, when you raised your hand, it did it. Oh, wait, if you...
Oh, no, I'm going to
there we go, there we go. I didn't know it would do that. Sorry for the technical difficulties there. We're learning that when you raise your hand, it shifts you over to the first position over there on Zoom, and then you got to see the OBS camera. Caitlin, go ahead and take it away.
Nice. So I actually have a great example of this. Our system, we let employers provide us with wages that they're going to give to their jobs, their postings. And obviously we want to display that before any estimated wage based on BLS data. but employers can put some pretty wild things in there. It's a free form text field. So there's no telling what they can put in there. And so the other day I was tasked with coming up with an algorithm to kind of simplify and clean that data. And I was like, yeah, I can do this. I literally had a class on this in grad school, a whole semester I spent for this. So that was just really cool. And I think that happens to me a lot. Like every few months, it'll be like, hey, I learned this in grad school, or, oh, we had a semester in that, or I did this in the capstone. And it's really cool to see things that you learned in the classroom and be able to raise your hand and say, I can do this because I spent a whole semester doing it.
This reminds me of a data mining assignment Dr. Petrie had students do, data mining text to Delta, I think, and reading what people have tweeted to Delta. So reading tweets to Delta, if you search for strings, it's very interesting what you'll find within those. Back to the main screen. Thank you so much. And Shelby, did you want to share your experience really quick? I think this is a great question to share some of the things you love doing. Did you want to share yours?
Yeah, absolutely. So just learning how to program in R. First of all, when I first learned about it through this program, I thought it was like the coolest thing ever. Like, oh, I never knew that this existed. And actually now I use it all the time. Like that's like just part of my day-to-day task. And so then I guess I would also say, in addition to that, like just knowing the basics of R and then getting even more savvy with it over time, like finding out that there's just a lot of different things that you can do with it. Like it almost seems as if there's like no limitation to it, especially once you're in it for so long. But one example for me is that, with the company that I'm currently at, Napa, there's a lot of data for us to look at, and we have our data warehouses, and pulling that information it could become like a tedious thing, but just being able to connect to a database through R, pull the data, manipulate it, mine it, do whatever you need to do with it, you can do it all there, and have an output set up the way that the intended audience wants it to be set up, and just being able to provide that information to someone in pretty much a quick little simple like Excel file usually is what they tend to ask me for. It's something that I think is just so powerful. And then in addition to our text mining, so web scraping, that's definitely been really big too with a lot of the stuff that I tend to do. And just knowing that I learned the fundamentals of that in this program to equip me for where I currently am is just, it's been awesome. And it's been just such a huge help because it's like going into a position and you're not really sure what you're going to be asked to do. Like you have an idea, but things can change day to day. And just knowing like, oh yeah, that's right. Within the program, I remember at some point in time, we did talk about this, and let me go back to my notes that I still currently have stored somewhere and refer to those to kind of help me to think of ideas or to help shape my ideas to solve different problems that I'm asked is just a really cool resource to have. So definitely super grateful for everything I've learned.
Thank you so much, Shelby. And I always say coding's like a superpower. So back here to the main screen. So with this, so many great experiences that I think we've all had. People don't know I went through the MSBA program too. I had my internship at 3M, and probably one of my favorite things, I'm going to steal one of your answers, I'm sure, was kind of the camaraderie of the people I went to the program with. As you can see here, the people here tonight, some people I think met for the first time, but a lot of people knew each other and have probably stayed in communication. Raise your hands, showing by physically raising your hand if you still stay in contact with MSBA people who you went to the program with. I think quite a few, hearing from people. Yeah, it's great. So with that in mind, and we got another question in the chat, it looks like, with this in mind, what was your favorite part of the MSBA program? Zach, you're first.
Yeah, so I would probably say my favorite part was the capstone project, right? So again, a big piece of going into the MSBA program was the applied side of it. right? If you want to be really invested in research, you could go grab a PhD, but the master's worked really well for me. I was able to apply what I've learned in the capstone. It really got me excited to go out into the workforce and push further. So I think I had a non-compete. So I did my capstone with an orange generic home improvement store, and it was really fun. So we got to apply some cool analytics, and I thought it was a great way to finish up the program.
Awesome. Thank you, Zach. And over to Shelby.
Yeah, there are like so many things. Definitely the capstone, the camaraderie, all of the above. I think too, just for me in general, like just learning, there was just so much to learn. And I did not come into the program initially thinking that there would be a lot of this stuff would be stuff that I would use and like retain. But it has been, and it's definitely been like just amazing having all of that knowledge and having the experience. But I will also say, like, it's also nice, definitely going back to the camaraderie part, because not here at the current job that I'm at, but prior to this, I worked for a pest control company, and there were maybe, I think, 2 to 3 other people that were in the program with me who worked there as well. And so we were all kind of in our own like analytics hub. And then, eventually we all kind of just went our separate ways. But during that time, it was really cool because like we all knew, like we had the same background, the same information. And when we were tasked with different projects and assignments, it was nice to just kind of like lean over to the next person and say, hey, do you recall when we were in so-and-so's class that he discussed X, Y, and Z? And they would say, oh yeah, I remember this. Well, do you remember this about so-and-so's course? And, just being able to bounce ideas off of each other was super helpful, especially when starting out. Because now where I currently am, like I said, I'm like just one of one, but still being able to tap back into all of that knowledge and the information that I had received at that time is something that I still use and something that still helps me even with my current position. So it's really cool.
Thank you so much, Shelby. And over to Chris.
Yeah, sorry. I was reading some of the comments and my mind went blank. Can you please repeat the question for me?
Sure. Like with the program, there's so many great experiences we have. What are some of the things that you really loved in your great experiences with the MSBA program?
Yeah, I've always been a team sport participant. I played soccer through college and I referee soccer now. So I loved it. Felt like that because we were, and it might be different now after COVID and whatnot, but we all went through before COVID and you were with everybody all the time, every day, struggling through the same problems, right? And I feel like everybody, when they graduate, they're like, I couldn't have done it without everybody else in the program sort of struggling along with me, because it was, a little bit I got from this person, a little bit I got from that person. And so that was really great. And then I am a big nerd, so I just really enjoyed the content of almost every course. Like I loved the homework assignments. They were hard, and sometimes in the moment I didn't love it, right? But I really enjoyed being challenged academically and having the support both of my peers and my professors when needed to get through the challenges, right?
I miss seeing everybody at the tables in the center of the 2nd/3rd floor with pizza or something. Like everyone just eating and working, and the box of pizzas may have been there for 2-3 hours and they've got one last slice. But no, but thank you so much, Chris. Over to Caitlin.
Yeah, you just like pulled out a core memory there, Brian. Yeah, so I mean, I'll echo what everyone else said. Like the camaraderie is definitely my favorite part. I had one classmate that I was really close with. I referred him to my company when I got a job at Snag a Job, and we worked together for 3.5 years, and he's still my best friend. So Just small plug there. You'll meet your best friends. But I would say if I had to go past just that, it's that there's no wasted time. Everything that you learn, you can see how it'll apply in your career. And if you don't see it at that time, like Chris said, when you're doing that homework and it's really hard and you're like, you will use it one day. I promise. So there's no wasted time. You feel like everything is valuable. And yeah, just the friends that you get through it with.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Back to the main screen. And we have a incoming MSBA student in the chat. I think Chris might have been noticing that. And they have a really great question. So remember, raise your hand physically and we'll see who wants to answer it here. They said the current MSBA curriculum has several branches for electives: data science, supply chain, customer analytics. Which skills like these would you say are most in demand while you're working? Who would like to take? Oh, Chris right here. Going over to you.
Caveat: I work in supply chain, so there's a lot of supply chain skills in my area. But also the data science, the analytics, like that is in Nissan. We just had this summit recently, which is sort of all of Nissan North America came together. So we've got, we build cars, but we have to finance cars for people, right? We have to build service parts for dealers. Like there's a company that does a lot of things, right? So we have a lot of different departments, and it's not necessarily that I'm in supply chain and I would necessarily relate to sales and marketing, right? Or I would relate to after sales. But I do, because we all use the same data science skill set, right? So I think you can't go wrong with like the data science and the data analytics. Any of those are going to be in hot demand everywhere. Now, whether you're like supply chain or like customer analytics, like I do see some segmentation there. And again, some algorithms like are a little more nuanced and geared towards like customer analytics, maybe like the A/B testing that Caitlin was talking about. Like I don't do A/B testing because like we just bring parts to the plant. Like there's not a lot of testing going on with that. But we use that network optimization, right? And there aren't as many opportunities for optimization problems in sales and marketing as there are in supply chain. So I knew going through the program, and I heard people before, probably I heard Caitlin and Zach before me saying things like this, like, oh, well, you'll know after you do your first, semester or so, you'll kind of have a feel for like, if you like supply chain or if you like sort of sales, marketing, customer analytics. And that was what I thought, oh, that's ridiculous. That's just a ridiculous statement. I won't know. How will I know? I won't have had experience in both, but I did know. I don't know how. And for me, I was more interested in the operations sides of things. And so I sort of followed that supply chain path. But I think you got to do, I think either of them are in good demand, but you're going to be more happy doing something that you're happier doing. So I would just go with your heart on that one.
Thank you so much, Chris. And we have one more audience question. Please, we'll try to throw in a few more here. And thank you so much, panel, for your time tonight. The audience asked, what was the reasons you had for joining MSBA at UTK? Was it for career advancements, pursuit of additional knowledge? Who would like to, raise your hand and we'll go over to your camera. Who would like to share the reasons they had to join right here? Oh, I see Zach's hand first. There we go. Zach, over to you.
Yeah, so I'll share my story. So I graduated from the University of Tampa with a degree in finance, and then moved back home to Massachusetts and sold insurance for a year. I was making about 100 cold calls a week, and I hated it. I did it for as long as I could take it, and then decided I needed to make a change. And so was looking around and decided that I wanted to try and go a little bit more technical. I talked to a few different people in the program and decided that this would be a great route. And so, again, I had no technical experience. I didn't know how to program whatsoever, and it worked out well. I now spend most of my days in Python and AWS. And so just to shout out that you can learn whatever you want to learn, right? So that was my path. So it was really for career advancement to get down to it.
And it's funny you mentioned that, because that's actually similar to what I had. When I graduated, I really had a hard time finding a job or something I wanted to do. I managed a clothing store. I'm not going to, let's just say there's a bird associated with it. Everyone's alluding to former jobs. And with that in mind, I thought to myself, I like math, I like computers, I like communicating, and all that added up to, well, let me look at this business analytics thing. Let me look at doing some work with, programming, coding, and all that good stuff. And the program's really evolved a lot since then. And it's really thanks to people like Dr. Bowers, Dr. Pachescu, Jordan Gill. So huge thank you. And of course, Christine Vossler. So many people have helped out with the program, even Dick Stevens early on. So huge thank you to so many people who have been here along the way. We are on to our last question. I'll give everyone a nice time to say their outros here. But when it comes to your career, what is something you kind of look back on that you feel you would have more success with today? Maybe it was an early hurdle that you jumped over, that some of the hardships you've had where you've grown, or maybe you could feel more successful today. And Shelby, you are first.
Hardships that I might have had okay. I would say starting out, it was a little challenging for me to understand the business side of what it was that I was doing. I went in knowing the analytics that I wanted to use and apply, but then being able to really understand, well, what is the reason for me doing this? What purpose does it serve in the long term for the particular role that I was in? And so just being able to combine the two and figure out yeah, the analytics, that's great. You know how to do the work. That's what you learn in the program. And there are different types of businesses that you could apply this to, but just being able to really hone in on what it was that the business, mission was something that took me a little time to really figure out. And so I would say that once I started talking to different people within the organization, within my team, whether that was at my previous company and at the current one, I was able to learn more about the business side of things and being able to, again, just bridge that gap, just to make sure that, I didn't just overwhelm people with providing the data that they wanted, but I was also able to tie in the business aspect of it as well. And, for me, or in my opinion, I feel like being able to do that really helped to solidify the two and make it so that it wasn't as overwhelming, I guess, for people, again, who didn't really know that analytics side, to be able to feel more comfortable with it, and instead of it feeling like somebody's just kind of just shoving it at them. So finding that balance is definitely something that took some time for me to overcome. But once I did, it was just smooth sailing from that point on.
Thank you so much, Shelby. And over to Chris.
Yeah, so early on, I had a great idea. I had a project I was gonna do. I just saw this big gap. I saw people spinning their wheels, and I was like, no, I got this. I told my manager. He's like, yeah, that's great. So we, on the inbound supply chain side, we partner with another company that handles some of our routing. And so it was some people in that company that I was trying to build this thing for. They work with us so that I wasn't overstepping by any means, but I talked to my manager. He was like, yeah, that's great. Do it. I built out this Tableau dashboard. I thought it was great. They could interact with it. They could change threshold values. It would flag things that were going to be a problem. It was going to save them all kinds of money. And nobody has used it. And it's because I didn't involve any of them at the beginning. I basically handed them this great tool, right? And they're like, nobody asked for this. We don't want it. Why did you spend your time doing this, right? So I learned early on that I'll be more successful and I'll bring more success to my company if I just slow down and I involve other people, make sure that they actually want if I need to sell them on the idea, that's part of it, but that's part of my job too, right? I can't just go off on my own and build something and expect people to use it, especially early on. I hadn't built a lot of trust with everyone yet. So listen to the voice of your customer. If you can't hear it, you're not ready to start your project. If you don't know what they're asking for, you're not ready. You need to slow down. You need to go back. You need to spend more time at the beginning so that you can accelerate through the project and at the end. And I promise you that time spent at the beginning, I know it, and I see it with every capstone project. They want to jump in, go fast. And I'm like, no, you don't even know what data you have. You got to slow down and really invest in that beginning stage and know what product you're creating and who you're creating it for, so that what you end up building is going to be a success.
Chris, your story resonated with me a lot because I had a student, Nick Brown, one of our Milton scholars, who he did an interview, and I said, hey, give me the interview. I want to see how I do. Ask me the same interview questions. And so he asked me all the interview questions, like, how'd I do? I aced it, right? And he's like, well, you have the knowledge, but you never asked me any questions about the data or about what we're trying to do. And I was like, oh. And you really pointed out that you don't just need the analytics skills, you need the business skills. And that's something we're here to do. So thank you so much, Chris, right there. Over to Caitlin.
Yeah, so perfect timing. My dog just started barking, but hopefully you can hear him. Knew that would happen at some point. Yeah, so I would say the hardest part for me, and this is kind of echoing what Shelby said, oh my gosh, he's barking so much, is just getting that business context. Like when I started a new job, I'm at the same job I got right after graduation. But just like learning the business, learning where your team fits in, learning all the systems that they use. People use the phrase drinking from a fire hose all the time because that's really what it is. Every day I would realize there's more that I don't know. And I would like write down, okay, I need to learn more about these particular things. Go home at night. Hey, go home at night and learn about them in my free time. And I think the program really instilled in me that passion to know more. And it gave me the tools to be successful once I kind of ramped up on these like acronyms and business terms and all that. Yeah, I'm going to mute now. This is so
Thank you so much, Caitlin. And over to Zach.
Yeah, so I guess for like biggest blunder, I'll kind of hit on just trying to cultivate a mindset for growth. And so I would say the biggest blunder I've taken is a completely out of the blue, unexpected poor performance review. And so that was really due to a mismatch in the expectations of what was to be delivered and what I thought was to be delivered, right? And so this stuff happens. And so I think the way I approached that was sitting down with my supervisor at the time, trying to understand what went wrong, where in the communication process that it broke down, understand how we can fix that, how we can make sure that doesn't happen going forward. Once we did that, it was really easy to reframe how I went about my work for that project and didn't have any problems since then. So setbacks happen. Things don't always go as planned, but people are very understanding and it's easy to get back on track.
And I want to say amazing things about everyone who's here, but Zach, I have to share that I believe you won an award for how amazing of a TA you were when you were my TA. Is that correct?
I hope so.
Well, I just have to say my performance review for you is absolutely stellar. After you've shared with us that story, I just wanted to applaud you for everything you do. And going back here to the main screen, you're welcome, Jacob. Great to have you here. And with this, I wanted to point out that it's really about communication. And thank you, everyone who attended tonight. And we'll start with Zach, then we'll go Shelby, then Chris, then Caitlin, kind of around the panel right here. We'll stay on the main screen here. But if you have any words of wisdom or parting words, share them now. Go ahead, Zach.
Yeah, I mean, be intentional about your decisions. If you're interested in the program, reach out to folks. Feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn if you have any questions. I'm happy to answer. I'm happy to talk with you. And yeah, go after what you want. It's life short.
Go ahead, Shelby.
Yes, I would definitely say make sure to keep up your skills. Like, don't let them fall by the wayside. just know that there are always resources out there. And second what Zach said, if want to reach out, please do. You definitely have here through the MSBA program so many great resources. But yeah, definitely make sure that you keep up your skill set, reach out, and just make sure that you don't let anything that may come up, whether it's something that's unexpected within your role, to make you feel like maybe this isn't right for you. Just know that, sometimes things happen, and you can always just keep working and doing the best that you can to make sure that, you fix whatever the issue was, and just keep moving forward and staying positive.
Thank you so much, Shelby. And over to Chris.
I'm not a natural networker, but the UT MSBA program instilled in me that networking is really important. And I can say that from my experience, I believe that's really true. So for me, that means both taking the initiative, right, to reach out. You can catch me on LinkedIn as well. We've all sort of offered that. So if you're interested in the MSBA program, go just talk to people, right? Like you're here tonight or you're watching at some time. So that's good. Be intentional about that. But also think about the network that you're leaving behind, right? So everybody that's in your past network, don't just burn bridges just because you're like done with something. It's really important to exit gracefully if you're moving on to a different position. I think you never know when that network's going to step in. And it doesn't have to be, professional networks either, but just think about the network that you have currently and make sure that you're sort of taking care of it.
And we'll be adding, if you would like, everyone's LinkedIn to the description. So if you're watching this later, check out the description. You can click the links and reach out. Over to Caitlin.
Yeah, I would say kind of a combination of all those things is networking and just going after what you want, because the worst thing you can hear is no. The job that I have currently is actually the only job I've ever applied for, like formally applied for. The rest of the opportunities I've had, like internships, things like that, have all come from reaching out to someone in the network saying, hey, I like what you do. Can I get involved? And not to brag, I mean, I've had some pretty cool jobs, like working for football teams and stuff like that. And that's all come from just reaching out to people. So the worst you can hear is no. I mean, you're going to reach out to probably 30 people and only hear back from maybe one or two. But those one or two can kind of set your career in a trajectory that you never thought it would go. And I think this program will definitely give you the confidence to do that. So, yeah.
And once again, a huge thank you to the panel. Head over to the main screen. I think Caitlin said it perfectly right there. The worst thing you can hear from somebody is no. So if you have questions about the program tonight, feel free to reach out to us. Jordan Gill has his email pinned, jordangill@utk.edu. You can email me at bstevens@utk.edu. And thank you, everyone, for being here tonight. Bye for now. Bye.